Backstage with Pete Van Dyk. We are coming to you from the Backstage podcast booth deep in the bowels of Spiky Ball Studios. I am your host, Pete Van Dyk, and we're going to talk today about trying to find a job. I know a lot of people out there don't have they have a job. They're doing it because they need to, but they're not doing it because they want to. It's most jobs from the people that I've met in my life on the road have been people hate their job or dislike it greatly, and they like to try to do something else. So I thought as a service during our hiatus at Live from the Dutch Hall, I would invite our guest, Brandon MacIntosh, to the show, and we would discuss a lot of the jobs that Brandon has done. Brandon is one of the, he himself right now is a stand-up comedian. He is a writer, producer, an actor. He is a man of many, who's worn many hats in his life, probably had the most jobs of anyone I've ever met. Welcome to the show, Brandon MacIntosh.
Thanks for having me, Pete. Always happy to be here at the studio.
Yeah. This is kind of weird. It's kind of like old school Dutch Hall. It's like how we started, just doing a one-on-one.
Yes, in a tiny room with a sliding glass door.
Yeah. It does kind of feel, it's like, it's more nervous because it's in my ears again, you know?
Yeah.
When we were doing out there, it wasn't the same thing. But that's a weird job that I have now, is doing this, podcasting.
Podcasting, yeah, throw that in there.
And if you would have asked me at the beginning of my life, I wouldn't have thought I would come to this end. But it's only after like a lifetime of errors, really,
Yeah,
that it led me to this point where I don't know if this is the darkest point or the brightest point in my life, but I'm doing this now.
I don't know. You're just gonna have to reflect back and just see what the high points and the low points. Like, are you happy with what you're doing right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you did 6 years of your podcast, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. That's a job.
That is
Doing that every week for 6 years. It's a full-time job.
Yeah, it was it was a weird one. It was one of those things you shouldn't really, no one really chooses to do that because it doesn't make any sense, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what I liked the most about it. It was ridiculous. We have I just wanted to start, like, when people, I noticed this, I have 2 kids, right?
Yeah.
And those kids are like they put them in they're in high school, and as soon as they get into high school, they like start really putting pressure on these kids to, like, you got to know what you want to do for the rest of your life. You got to choose a career path and all that stuff,
Yeah.
you know? And
Here's a history lesson on Canada. You don't really need to do any of those jobs unless you want to be a history teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, they talk a big game, right? Like, you need to really know what you're doing, but they have such limited options for, like, in high school of what you really want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
they can't see in the future anyways. With the way things change nowadays, most of the jobs these kids are going to do 20 years from now don't exist now.
Yeah. Like, I felt I was just going through the motions at school. Like, it didn't give me an idea of what I wanted to do. Like, I wasn't inspired by anything I did at school.
No.
And it's yeah.
I agree.
Working. All the jobs I had, you know, that's inspired kind of my life path.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. And that's I didn't really get inspired by anything at school. I did the tests, you know, like I was like a dancing monkey for them, but that was it. Like I never really thought this would be great to do for the rest of my life, like to dig into this subject matter or anything like that. I like working. I like the physical act of working. Like I like being busy. I like being but I don't like working for other people. You know,
that can be hard.
Yeah, I'll work for my customer. Don't get me wrong, but I won't. I don't like working for a boss. You know.
Yeah, depends on the boss. You have good bosses and bad bosses. I've had all kinds of bosses. Like,
yeah, it makes a huge difference, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I think that if your boss, if your boss is the type of guy that's like, you're working for me, then he's an asshole.
Yeah.
But if a guy's like, you know, we're working for this better benefit, you know, it's not the ego there.
Yeah. And
then I think that guy's going to be a good boss. I really think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell early on, hopefully.
Do you think like douchebag people would like other douchebag people?
Do douchebags like other douchebags? Absolutely. They travel in packs.
So they would appreciate the qualities of a douchebag. You know how, like, when I work with people, like as I went in the workforce,
Yeah.
I would find people like me, and then if they were doing the job the way I did the job, then I would respect them, right?
Yeah.
And then but when I found those douchebag people that were just ass kissing their way to more money or whatever,
Yeah.
those people I would consider to be have no integrity, like to be terrible people, right?
Yeah.
Or,
Now, did they travel together? Those kinds of people?
yeah,
Yeah.
they do. But how can you look? They look at each other with like admiration that this guy's kissing my ass. That's what I want, right?
Yeah.
They must have kissed, because when you're kissing ass, then it must be like you're gonna get this someday. Then you're gonna expect people to kiss your ass because you did all that nasty stuff.
Yeah, it's a fun, terrible cycle.
Yeah,
I'm glad I never really got a part of that too much, because I never really stayed in one job long enough to really call anything a career, except maybe now, because I do have a career in things.
Yeah.
But for a long time, it was just hopping job to job, town to town.
And now, what was your very first job you had?
Very first job was a co-op farming equipment place, and I had like feed, like big bags of feed and stuff.
Yeah.
All this like just stuff you find in a hardware store as well. And my neighbor got me that job. My parents really wanted me to get a job, and
How old were you?
I think it was 13.
Oh yeah.
Like my friends had paper routes, and they're pressuring me. So my neighbor who worked there got me the job. But like I'm carrying 40-kilogram bags of feed, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I weigh like 40 kilograms. Like I can't pull this off. It was a hard job for a first job for sure.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know anything, and I'm just like thrown into this mix, yelling at me. I'm grabbing the wrong pig feed and like dumping open cement bags into someone's truck, and then cleaning it off with water and not telling him.
Yeah.
And then him finding it when he gets home.
Yeah, it's like I did that same job, so we can match that one up. I've worked at a co-op twice actually. I worked there, but as a grown up.
Yeah.
So it was a little different.
How old were you then?
Right out of university.
Okay.
In 96 it would have been. It was like a recession.
Yeah.
And there was no jobs anywhere, and I was still taking a couple courses, and then they offered me this job doing like a GPS application of fertilizer.
Weird.
But I wrote the program, like it was basically just like spreadsheets, and I would put the data in.
Oh, okay.
Of the
so
source.
you weren't lugging bags of feed around this farm place.
Well, not that time.
Okay.
Not the first time out of school. I was doing the mostly computer work, and then I would go on the field and take soil samples, and then send those samples to the lab, and then enter the data, and then send that program to the applicators, and then have to teach the applicators how to use it because they were like old guys that had been there for like 35 years, and they think this is all a bunch of shit.
Oh, yeah.
And then they would I would have to teach them how to use this new stuff. But now that's pretty old school technology in agriculture now. But then the second time I worked there, I got hired to manage this fertilizer plant in Delhi.
Yep, you showed me that, yeah.
And then and so that one, because I was supposed to be hired to manage it, I had to do every job in the plant.
Yeah.
So that was most of my lugging and stuff. And during the spring rush, I was one of those guys that would be like a gopher that bring out people chemical and stuff like that.
Yeah. You're a gopher? Why do gophers do that? Or is that,
I
is
don't
that
know,
a
like
term?
a gopher shit. You know, you say gopher coffee, gopher.
Oh, okay.
Like
Okay. That's funny.
That's what it is. They call you a gopher, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a bitch. You know, some people call it a bitch.
Okay,
Yeah.
I understand. I was a bitch for a few years.
Yeah. I don't mind. Like if it's your place, when you know clearly that's the role you have to play for that day, then you just fall into the bitch role.
Oh, I call it temping.
Temping, yeah.
In Toronto, yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. I've never done that. Have you done that?
Yeah. I'd temp for a music video company and like a commercial production company. And it was fun for a while being their temp, but yeah, I was getting their coffee every day, their lunch.
Yeah.
Just dealing with their shit, walking their dogs, helping them move furniture at their apartment. Just like, yeah, what should we get them to do now? It's just like, I don't know. Can you get them to fill my car up with gas? It's like, sure.
That's crazy. That's the
go
world.
pick up my laundry. It's like, can I do something that has to do with music videos, please?
Yeah, no. That's fun. That's what we'd like to do.
Yeah. I did have to go look for a pig heart one day for a music video. some metal band, and had a pig heart in their hand, fake blood, but they wanted a real heart. So I was going through Chinatown, obviously,
Yeah.
every crazy store, and eventually I found them, and they came in a 3-pack. So we got three hearts.
3 packs of pig hearts, eh?
Yeah, I got a deal.
Yeah, man. I would have went to a butcher.
A butcher?
'Cause
it was like a butcher at the back of this grocery store.
Yeah.
I don't think they spoke English. I remember like pointing to my heart and like making the motion that it's beating.
Really?
Yeah, it was funny.
That's awesome. Pigs' hearts are most like human hearts.
Yeah, they are.
That's why in Snow White, the huntsman cut out a pig's heart.
We were tempted to cook one and eat one. We would like see what cannibalism's like.
Yeah. Would you? I imagine it would taste great.
I'm sure it would. I heard the heart is quite delicious in some animals.
I eat chicken
heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Very good.
Very good. But yeah, no, co-op was my first job. I didn't like it. I liked it in the spring when I could water flowers just for hours and like disappear into the garden center.
Yeah.
They just forget about me. But the next job I got, my parents opened a water depot.
Oh yeah.
You know what those are? Like they sell like you can go fill up your jugs.
Yeah.
And they have like water softeners for sale and hot tubs.
Hot tubs, yeah.
I don't know why my parents decided to buy this, but they did. It was a good idea. Like they ran it for a few years, and I worked there. It was in Woodstock though. That was the problem.
Selling hot tubs?
Yeah, selling hot tubs and delivering hot tubs, and that was always kind of entertaining because we didn't have much of a trailer. And my dad wasn't very good at backing it in. It was always frustrating for him, but kind of entertaining for us. But
so your dad's about an entrepreneur then?
Absolutely, yeah. He's me having all these jobs. Like he's kind of had like the same career most of his life, but he's always had different ventures, different ideas.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where I get it from.
Yeah. I can appreciate that. My I'm the same way, and my dad was a farmer. Like all my family was farmers, really, and so I just grew up on a farm, have that mentality that that's how you do it. I don't know any other way.
But no, the first real job I got after that was at a driving range in Ayr. The Dan Ayr driving range.
Were you one of those guys in the cage?
I was. I got to drive the picker.
And people shoot you, right?
Oh yeah, man. I'm a target.
Yeah.
It was fun, and because I used to just taunt people, the pros hated it because they didn't want to hit me. So I just like go like caw, going past them. But that was great. We used to get drunk at work and like ride those things around after hours, just like hit the mounds full speed and catch air and golf carts and stuff.
Yeah.
We almost got in trouble one day, but we blamed it on like teenagers and like 4-wheelers.
Yeah.
They didn't have cameras or anything, we got away with it.
When I was 18, I worked with my dad. I dropped out of high school and I was trucking tobacco. We would drive transport trucks. I didn't drive. I was just a loader. There was a guy that drove and a guy that sat in the passenger's seat, and he would load the truck with them.
Yeah.
And we would go to different farmers and pick up their bales of tobacco and bring it to the market for them to sell. But the farmers would have this tradition that if they didn't give you something to drink afterwards, that they would sell bad. They got to be nice to the people that come to the thing. So a lot of times you would get booze, mostly booze. Sometimes you get food and booze, but sometimes most of the time booze. Right?
That's fair. That's a good trade.
So it would be by 11 o'clock in the morning, you're hammered because you've done 3 farms and they've all given you like whiskey and shots and stuff like that. And it was like day after day of this, right? And then these are different times, I guess. But the most of the times, I remember this one time, I was going to night school because Wall Truck and Tobacco. Yeah. And I had to drive to Brantford to do night school. And then we went to the last load of the day. And the last load of the day is you always pick your favorite, like the good farmer. You won't load them at the beginning of the day. Yeah. You'll load them at the end of the day because then your last load, you can stay and drink as long as you want, right? And then, so when you got a good farmer that's a fun guy to go visit, then you'll set them up for the last. So we were going to visit this one set of brothers, and they're fun, right? And we went to them for last load, and I said, I still got time to go home and then go to class, right? But we go there, and they come out with a bottle of whiskey. It's like a 60-ounce bottle of whiskey, but it's only like a quarter full or whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes, you guys can't leave till this is done, right? And then we're like, no problem. There's a bunch of us guys, you know. We have a couple whiskeys. This one guy, I remember, he's a trucker, long distance trucker. He gets me into chewing tobacco, gives me a wad of chewing tobacco, and I put
bad
it.
News.
Yeah. So I'm drinking whiskey, and I got this chewing tobacco. And then the guy comes out. We finish that bottle, and they come out with another 60 that's like half full or whatever.
Yeah.
And they say, he can't leave till this one's done. Lock the door, you know. And then so we finished that one, and then there was another full bottle brought out, and which they pulled the same stunt on, but we didn't finish it, but we put a good dent into it. And we eventually had to leave because I had to get to class. And I'm driving home with the truck driver. And the truck driver looks at me and he goes, Pete, I just got one question for you. This might sound a little funny. He goes, if I go straight right now, is there a road there or isn't it? I know I'm either here or at the next one. I don't know which one I'm at. Right? I'm like, Jesus Christ, let me drive. Right? And then I had to still drive, get home, get showered, get in my vehicle, drive to Brantford to do a calculus class.
Oh my God.
And then I reek of whiskey, you know, still. And I shouldn't have been driving. In retrospect,
no,
you know?
yeah. When you said these were different times,
Yeah.
It's like when the times were drinking and driving was good.
No, I guess I didn't even think about it. And then it wasn't ever good. It just was more done, and I just didn't catch as much. They used to at one point they would just tell you to be careful.
Yeah,
you know?
just let you go.
Yeah,
as long as you weren't driving too erratically, right?
Yeah. They could understand that some guys are good drunk drivers. But
oh yeah, Nova Scotia, that's still a thing out there.
Well,
oh yeah.
Anytime you don't have public transportation and you're remote, you know, like number one, there's no traffic, so you're going to take a chance.
Yeah.
Number two, there's no way to get a cab home most of the time or anything like that. So you're just kind of like,
how else are you gonna get home?
Yeah. So then you're kind of forced to. You just don't. If you get too wasted, you get a driver. But if you're just getting into that part where I'm like, I'm probably technically wasted, but not. Anyways, this is off topic, of course.
That's all right, yeah.
But my point is, I get to class, stinking of whiskey. My friends in class like, whoa, what the hell is the matter with you, Pete? And I look over and I just smile. I got a big wad of chewing tobacco in my
still in your
teeth.
mouth.
Yeah, totally forgot about it. And then I had to spend the whole time because now I'm aware of it. So now my mouth's just filling up with chewing tobacco till we had our first break. I just run to the front of the classroom, just spit chewing tobacco.
You just held it the whole time.
Yeah, mouth just getting fuller.
Oh, that's terrible. And did you learn any calculus that day?
A dum-de-dum-dum. Derivatives. I don't know. That's the only thing I remember about calculus.
That's impressive in
you.
one way or another.
Yeah. Anyways, so that trucking job was so that I could pay for my university, but I ended up spending it on a trip to Cuba instead. And then, but most of my jobs, like I grew up I started my work as a child laborer, like a child slave, really.
Yeah.
For a tobacco farm, where I would work. As soon as you're able to do something, they make you do it, right? Like, why not?
Yeah.
But my first real official job on a tobacco farm was a stick shaker. That's the first job you're going to have to do on a tobacco farm is a stick shaker.
What is that?
So, like, they used for stick kills, they would have a tying machine you'd lay the leaves on this belt, and then it would sew it on a stick.
Okay.
And then the stick would go up and you'd hang those in the building, right?
Oh, it has nothing to do with like whacking rabbits or anything.
No.
Okay. All right.
Stick shaker. So then you would just have to take the stick, and before you put it on the elevator, you'd shake it once or twice. Any loose leaves would fall out, and then you put it there so they wouldn't fall.
Yeah.
But the stick shaker is unnecessary. You can just run the tying machine onto the elevator and pick up the leaves when they fall and somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Stick shaker is just something you do to give someone a job, right? And so that was my first job. I was like 10, and then they moved me into the strip room when I was in grade 7.
More tobacco?
Yeah, more tobacco. That's when you cure it, and then you have to put it on another belt to sort it out.
Oh man, do you just reek of tobacco doing all this? Like, is
That's well, during the time where it's in the field, it doesn't smell.
Yeah.
It just stains your hands with tar and stuff, and even when you wash it, your hands are still like stained yellow and stuff. So I went to school in Brantford, so they didn't have a lot of tobacco experience there because
Yeah.
they're more of an urban center. So when they saw me out, they thought I had some disease, you know. But if you go to Delhi High School,
Oh, yeah.
everyone's got stained hands. Like
Yeah, everyone's got yellow hands.
yeah. So you would get nicotine stained hands from working in tobacco when it's green. But then when it's cured, it's the best smelling thing ever. They even make candles that smell like it. It's like fresh cured tobacco smells like
Nice.
heaven, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned. Yeah, it's so nice of a smell. But then it's like if you get a fresh pack of cigarettes and you smell it, it doesn't smell bad.
Smell fresh cigars, I guess. Would that be similar? Like,
Yeah, kind of. The cigars would be more like I would say like more pungent than
yeah.
Fluker. But if you get a fresh pack of cigarettes and you just smell the tobacco, that's kind of like what your whole barn would smell like, your clothes and stuff. It would be nice.
Wow. So you had a long career in tobacco
Yes.
as a child.
As a child laborer. Well, of course, you're doing all the regular jobs like planting, replanting, and hoeing and that sort of stuff. But then the harvest jobs are the big ones. And then I got, after the strip room, when I got 11 years old, they moved me to boat driver. I think it was boat driver at 12, sorry. Which a boat driver is like, I drove a big red truck, standard transmission.
At 11 years old?
It was,
Did you have to sit on anything so you could see over the
No.
windshield? Or?
Yeah, I was 11 when I learned to drive, but 12 when I had it as a job. And I didn't have to sit on anything, but I couldn't really see that well over, and I would always steer with my tongue because it was like hard.
Yeah.
And then I always made up for what I lacked with effort. You know, I would just overwork it, but
Yeah.
it was fun because you get to boot. That was a fun job because you could boot through the field, like just kick ass on this truck. You're just a kid. You're just like shifting through the gears.
That
and stuff.
would be sick. Envious. I was a lazy kid. I wouldn't be able to do that. These jobs I had, I was just barely just dragging my feet along.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like like especially the driving range. That was the easiest job ever.
Oh yeah.
You just sit around, collect the balls, bring them back, clean them, go out again. Just like meh.
My easiest job would have been the banking, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do anything.
No.
Because I would sometimes you could pretend you were working and not work because no one's paying attention. You know?
Yeah.
You know the George Costanza? I did the George Costanza move one time.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to get fired at this job, so
You just didn't care. You just stopped caring.
Yeah, the company was going to go broke, so I was like, I don't care. I want to get severance. So I got a 4-month severance.
Oh, I did that at Sobeys. I wanted to leave, and they were renovating and could not afford to lose anybody because they're like needed all this extra help to move shelves around at night. So I'm like, I want to leave. I'm like, I'm just going to fuck off and not do anything and just get paid for it. And I got away for a few weeks of just like I'd sign in and just go sit in the back and I'd build like a fort out of milk crates in the cooler. And I'd just sit back there, eat cookies. My manager would come in, he'd just like yell my name. I'd just like freeze. And he has no idea. Like if you just go back against the wall and like around the edge, like I made like a little milk crate maze. I'm just hiding back there.
Figuring out ways how not to work.
Yeah, because they're stacked like 8 high, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a job. It was ridiculous. I was in high school, so 17, 18. And like, yeah, same thing. I fucked off all day. I would like just pick up like a bag of chips and just wander aisles, just like looking around as if I'm doing like a price check or figuring out where it's going back. And I'd get away with doing that for so long. So my boss is just like, Brandon, what are you doing? It's like, doing it for like 40 minutes. I'm like,
I would go into my office, grab a bunch of binders, right? Look angry, like disheveled and angry and like frantic because we had multiple locations. So I'd always be like pretending I was going to one of the other ones and then just go home. It worked.
That's a good escape.
Yeah. I found it to be refreshing.
And in high school, me and my friends, we liked to egg people and egg cars. We were shitheads. Like, I was an asshole when I was in high school. We'd always do stuff like that. So I would because anytime there's egg cartons on the shelf, some are broken, you have to take them to the back, write them off, throw them in a dumpster. But I would stack them up, like dozens and dozens of these eggs, and just leave them at the back door for my friend to come pick up. So we'd just be like all night, just annihilating people's cars. Just it wasn't good for me. That access to eggs I had.
Every single job I left, I stole from.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I stole the most of? 3-hole punches.
3-hole punches?
I have a 3-hole punch from CIBC.
Is that just a goal you have? You're trying to get a 3-hole puncher from every job?
I ended up being that way at the end because I'm like, I don't have a 3-hole punch, and then I stopped using them, you know?
Yeah.
Because at first it was just coincidence. I would leave and I just got panicky, and I would steal something out of the out of the supply room, and it was always just like a 3-hole punch It was always a 3-hole punch, and I didn't know why. It was just an impulse thing. So because I did it a couple times, and it was 3-hole punch both times, then I just made a point of stealing a 3-hole punch from every. Made a point of stealing a 3-hole punch from every one of them. I got out of the mic there a bit.
Well, that's all right.
And what?
Hey, I've been drifting too.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. That's a weird one. I do have a number of 3-hole punches from some of the big banks.
Well, now I know who to go to if I need one.
Yeah, if you need one, I got a bunch. But the best way, I've never really had the luxury of pilfering anything significant from any of my employers, like, or having any benefit that I was able to have.
Yeah.
The nicest part of one, when I had a longest run at banking, was that I had customers I spent over a decade with, and you could watch their businesses grow. And I really did like that. And then you ended up being like actually emotionally invested with these people, right? And then they would give you like Christmas presents and stuff and take you out to lunch and stuff. And then they started making that like against the rules.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that's seen, because we were the one place I worked was considered government. So then they said
can't do that.
No. They
no-no.
said that because if the taxpayers found out that you, a government employee, technically was getting a gift from someone that you gave money to,
yeah,
then that would be seen as being like what do you call it? Conflict of interest.
Yes. That's a shame.
But it was nice.
Yeah, it sounded nice.
People would bake me cookies.
Sound like the bonus part of being a banker.
Yeah.
And the money.
The relationship, it really wasn't but it really was just people being nice. It wasn't people trying to get money. Because, like, you're not going to be able to change my mind with cookies.
Yeah.
A nice basket of chicken goods. I did get some good gifts. One time I got some people give you a bottle of wine. A nice basket of chicken goods the one time was a pretty impressive one. You bring it home, nice chicken loaf in there.
Yeah.
What is that? Some various. What else can you have with chicken? It's just a whole basket of chicken. I went one time. I had to go. I was a customer was a chicken farmer, and I went to lunch with him, and I ordered like BLT or something like that.
Yeah.
The guy next to me, he orders like he works with us too. He orders like a fucking steak sandwich, you know.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then all of a sudden, this chicken farmer, he orders chicken, and then he says, "You guys are terrible bankers. You didn't even order my chicken." Right?
Was it his chicken at this restaurant?
No, but he says you should support my industry when you're here, right? And I was like, okay, that's a good point. I should probably support your industry, right? And we actually did that. They used to have this show when I was working for the one bank. They had this like trade show in Tilsonburg, and it was usually for the tobacco industry, and it was dying. You know, like the show was dying, but we still went there. And I had a booth for the one bank, and I told everybody you can smoke at the show, right? Because it's for the tobacco industry, right? So we were working there for them in the booth and puffing darts the whole time. It was awesome. And I didn't know if we could or not, but I know I've seen people smoke at that show. So I just said, hey, we're supporting the industry. Let's smoke cigarettes at the booth.
Why not?
Yeah.
That was the 90s, right? You still smoke inside places?
Yeah, when I started working at the co-op, I had that computer job.
Yeah.
And you could smoke right at your computer.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What a time.
Yeah. The controller at the time would smoke a pipe at his computer the whole time, like the accountant or whatever.
Nice.
Just sit there with a pipe. And even at the one bank I worked for, my assistant said when she started, which was a few years before I got there, she said her only job, like as an assistant, was to empty ashtrays and make coffee.
Like, I don't smoke, but that sounds awesome.
I know.
I'd be into it. I'd just be like, I'll smell like a secondhand smoke, but this place is rad. It's hazy.
Do you think that? I think that something's different about the cigarettes because they didn't used to stink as bad as they do now.
Yeah.
Even the tobacco farmers say that.
Yeah, like you'll save people on smoke breaks, right? They're just sitting at their desk smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not wasting their time outside.
Yeah. Now, if you hire a smoker, you're like, well, most of the day this person's gonna be useless.
Well, they just have strictly smoking businesses, like
Yeah,
attract
yeah.
smokers. Come smoke inside our business.
Yeah. I like that pro smoking rims. You should be able to have that. You shouldn't just be saying no smoking anywhere. You should be able to say if you're gonna work here.
Cigar rooms get away with it.
Yeah.
Like I went to one in Quebec. It was like a jazz room and cigar room. It was amazing. It smells so good.
Yeah. And that's a perfect combination too, because a jazz room should be smoky.
Yeah.
And you can't get the same thing with a smog machine or whatever it's called,
Yeah.
a smoke machine.
Anyways, what are we talking about? Smoke.
Oh,
I'll get back to where my line of jobs. They're not that exciting, really. I tried to go for a bunch of temp jobs at factories, which is pretty awful. I hated that.
Never done factory work. Never done
it. I didn't do that very long. I actually injured my back, not at the job, but like I had to stop doing these labor jobs for a while, and like I was just at work right out of high school for a while. But then I ended up at a job at Battlefield Construction, so I ended up painting giant propane tanks for a whole summer. Like they sell those huge, tall propane tanks.
And you refurbish them?
Yep, I scraped them all up, and at 3 different locations. And I got heat stroke. I get attacked by wasps every day. It was great. I'd in like you can smell gas when you're out there. Like they're coming from something. My boss would always come up just smoking a dart. I'm like, back up. Can you please back up? I'm like, it's fine. It's just like it's just going up into the air. I'm like, all right, whatever. You're gonna blow up one day, buddy.
Yeah, I don't want to take the chance, man. Yeah, we did. I had to do that with farm equipment, kind of same thing.
Yeah.
It was because I never really got paid to work on the farm, so then I would get extra jobs on the side so that I could have spending money.
Yeah.
And one time I had to go to this guy who had a farm equipment place, but he would just buy shitty farm equipment, and then I would have to sand it and then paint, and then we'd spray paint it.
Yeah.
You know, like with a wire brush, you'd scrape all the old rust off. And
it's the worst.
And he was paying me $5 an hour, right? And then my brother, he was underage, so he didn't have to pay him minimum wage, so he gave him like $3.50 an hour.
Wow.
And then he put me doing inventory, he bought a box, like a shipping crate of just junk, and then I had to sort through it, find the part number, and then in a book. I'm like a kid, right?
Yeah.
It's the most boring job you could ever have. I get cornered in these clerical bullshit jobs all the time.
Yeah, that's what the factory temp jobs are like. They're just like the same menial task over and over again, just looking at shitty, rusty, greasy parts. And
yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
And then I got fired because he said he liked my brother better because my brother's a harder worker. And my dad was like, well, if you're firing my one son, you're firing them both.
Yeah.
Because you're only keeping Paul because he's cheap, you know?
Yeah.
Because he said he saw Paul work.
The only good job I got out of temping was working at Toyota because I had the most menial task there. So they only got temp workers to do it. And that place was sick. Like, had a full-on cafeteria. You could buy food and, awesome break rooms. And just all I had to do was, look at this wood back panel. Like, you open up this SUV, and then there's a compartment, and it's just the wood door that flips up.
Yeah.
And I just had to inspect that, make sure the wood wasn't warped. And I'd be done it in an hour. And then they wouldn't give me a new shipment for 3 hours. So I'd just go upstairs, watch a movie on my DVD player. And they didn't care. They're just whatever, just do your job, whatever it takes, whatever, as long as it's done.
As long as your job's done.
And a robot would bring me my card every day. And
really?
You sit there and you just hear ding, 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 ding. And because they all have their own song, so you know what's coming. And I'm just like, here comes my shipment. And just this weird little wheelie robot, it's kind of tall, just drops it off and continues on its way.
Really?
It's crazy. Yeah, I had no idea.
It's like the future, eh?
Yeah, they just follow lines on the floor.
Yeah, I've seen it on TV.
It's still impressive. It blew me. There's one had an Indiana Jones theme song, and I was easily impressed.
You know what's also great about? You know what's also great about a big place like Toyota?
Yeah,
is that it's like prison, right? There's so many people in there. You can find someone you can source everything. You know, it's like the greatest big black market there is.
And it paid so well, more than any other temp job. But then it was, of course, a temp job. It ended, and my next one after that was just down the street, where I was boxing up salad dressing, just crates and crates of salad dressing. And that was the saddest job. It was me, 4 or 5 old ladies, and this cokehead. And it was 16-year-old cokehead, which just was freaking out all day. He's like, fucking hate this place. Fucking hate this place. And all the other ladies, they just talked about, we want to move to the factory next door where they bottle it. It's like, it's like Willy Wonka's salad dressing over there, or what's going on? Is there Oompa Loompas?
I remember we saw this. There was this girl. She dated a friend of ours in high school, and she was working at Wendy's, and she was really hot, And then she's working there, and she was a little too old to be working at Wendy's, Like we were thinking, it's just like she's going to be doing this forever,
Yeah.
And then so when we saw her, we were ordering her hamburger. We were like, "Hey, you still working at Wendy's?" She goes, "I know. I gotta do something. Do something bigger. I gotta get out of here. I'm thinking of applying to Pizza Hut."
Yeah. That's just as much ambition as people have sometimes for work, the bare minimum. They got other shit going on, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm lucky I never got into the fast food game when I was that age. I had a lot of friends who did. It sounded awful.
It's a hard job, man.
Yeah, and I felt like being at a driving range and Sobeys and temp jobs is way easier. But like, yeah, I ended up working at Battlefield and then Kodiak boot warehouse, just a warehouse job. It sucked. But then this is when I was going to school. I finally got to go tree planting. Someone convinced me to go tree planting.
I did that too.
A guy I went to school with, and I went with him.
So you're like 19?
Yeah, I would have been 19 or 20. Yeah, 20.
Oh yeah, I was 19 too. I was 19 when I went, I think. After first year.
Yeah.
And then so we're right around the same age.
But yeah, that was a wild time. That changed my life.
Where did you go for that?
That was in Alberta. It was a place called Hinton, which is just outside of Jasper, about hour and a half from Jasper. So you're right on the edge of those mountains. It was incredible. But yeah, we were working down these really crazy long, like logging roads and oil roads.
Yeah.
That just all look the same. There's no street signs, so like.
Oh yeah.
And
they go on forever.
Yeah.
You're like driving for like an hour on a logging road into nothing. You're like, how is this so big?
Yeah, because you did this. You did in Ontario though, right?
Yeah.
But it looks the same. Besides the mountains, I saw.
It's like how vast it was. I couldn't believe. Like I couldn't imagine. And knowing that that's how much of Canada is like that. Just this vast bush. Like there's so much of it.
And like living out there, like that blew my mind. I've camped in my life, but I've never had to just camp for like 2 months straight in like an abandoned gravel pit somewhere in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We moved to a few of them, but it was always an abandoned gravel pit area because there was enough to fit our encampment. Because did you guys have like big tents for the food or anything?
No, we totally lucked out. The first 2 weeks I was at a motel in Massey. And it had a kitchenette. Yeah. And then the second, for the balance of my 8 weeks, I was in Blind River at this hunting or fishing camp.
Man, you lucked out.
So it was a cottage. It was like a rustic cottage. It had like tons of mice in it, and they would go right in your sleeping bag. But I slept like in a double bed in the upstairs of this thing with a black guy. And I used to just have to roll over and like whisper in his ear, "It's 4 o'clock, Mike. Let's get up and go."
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, I had at least you didn't have bears sniffing your head on the other side of a tent at night.
Oh my God, man, that's what I mean. Like
elk and moose and just everything walking past my tent. I put it in the worst place. Because like I said, there's a main encampment. We got like a big tent to dry all our clothes, keep all our wet stuff and our work clothes. Then we got the food tent and then the dining tent. And then everyone just surrounds the area in the woods. Like they just put their tents up really close. But like I found a creek, like a 5-minute walk down this little path. And I'm like, this is way better. So I put it next to this creek. Mm-hmm. And then there's like a girl, she put hers on the other side of the creek and a few other scattered people. Like beautiful scene. You can see the mountains and meadow and everything. Like this started good, but like every night you can hear it was the watering hole for a lot of animals because I just wake up to just something huge walking past my tent. Like you can just feel it in the ground, and I'm thinking like it's a moose and it's gonna get caught in my tarp and stuff, and I'd freak out. Something was sniffing my tent the one night, and I can hear sounded like wolves or coyotes or something swimming around in the creek. It was wild, and it was hard to sleep, honestly. Like I would because it was hard work tree planting.
Yeah.
But I'd wake up pretty terrified sometimes.
Dude, that's hardcore. Like that's one of the things that I kind of like. I lucked out on. The bad part was that they were the absolute worst ground that there was left. Like anything that. So we were in really terrible ground to plant.
Yeah, we
them.
were too. I had no idea because it was my first year.
Yeah.
Like, you were probably the same way.
Yeah.
I didn't realize till like, because we had different people coming on and off the crew. Did you have that?
Yeah.
Just random gypsy tree planters, right?
Yeah.
Like all these people do it every year, and these pro guys came in. And they saw the land we're doing. Like, this is shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know any better.
Yeah.
They're telling me the wonders of British Columbia, and like how it's all flat and.
Do they call it
prepared.
cream?
Cream, yeah, that's right.
That's what they call it too. Like I only saw cream at the end, but we'd hear about cream from the guy we worked for, and he goes, "The cream's only going to go to the guys at the top because why would I waste the cream on people that are going to be swatting mosquitoes all day or whatever, you know?"
Yeah.
And so like I went to the. I was really ambitious. I wanted to get the cream, you know, because I knew you could plant way more on those and then actually make some money.
Yeah.
But
I didn't make money until like I was there for 2 months. Maybe the last 3 weeks, I actually made proper income, not just paying off camp fees and like.
Well, the cock I worked for, he would bet us trees afterwards. We played guts, and he would like try. He taught us the game guts.
It's a card game.
It's like a poker game kind of, and he would like basically try to win the trees that he owed us back again, so he didn't have to pay us. You know. There's people that
sleazeball there.
Yeah. Yeah, he was terrible, alcoholic and stuff. I used to always want to go out in the truck before he woke up, you know. The guy's a piece of shit. His brother was an NHL referee too. That's another great story I had when I was tree planting. There's this Italian guy. I worked hard to try to get be near the top. This Italian guy all of a sudden near the end started like catching me like he was really it was neck and neck. It was either me or him every day, this Italian guy from Hamilton. And then, so at the very end, they finally had a few more trays of trees, and you have to go. They get to the top 4 tree planters. They said, "Go take a case of beer and and these trees, and go out to this area and just get rid of the last of them, you know." And so we went out there and did that. And as the Italian guy just goes, "Well, let's just find an old fallen tree and just like dump them in the roots, you know, so we don't have to plant any of them." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, it never occurred to me." You know, and then he goes, you know, like, you didn't really plant all those trees, did you? And I'm like, yeah, I did. I planted every single one of them. He's like, oh, I could never have planted that many trees.
I wouldn't cheat. Like, I was such a hippie about it too. It's probably why I sucked, because I made sure every tree was in there good.
Yeah, I wanted to live.
So slow.
My hands were just freaking scraped up completely.
Yeah, my hands were fucked too.
Oh.
I had to duct tape each finger every single day because my gloves, I couldn't get the proper grasp with the gloves, but if I duct tape my fingers up.
I was the same way because we had a lot of rock too.
Yeah.
And with the gloves, it was too bulky and you wouldn't be able to get it in there to get all the roots tucked. And if you got any roots that are showing, it would kill the tree.
I'd always get a rock right in the finger. Right. It's just... You'd be right when you're getting a good groove going too, and you're just like, you just throw your shovel as far as you can, scream.
Yeah.
But I love that. It made me feel so alive out there because I've never done anything that crazy, and just having to shit in the woods was new. I got so good at it. We'd always fuck with each other. You know, like you'd see someone coming down a line, you can tell where he's going to come. So you just shit right on a mound where he's got to put his shovel.
Yeah. Yeah, you go right in his ditch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great move. I never thought to do that. You want to, one time I had a job, it was when I was in university, I came home for Christmas, and my friend got me a job at this greenhouse, right? Me and my friend are working there. He got me and another friend of mine a job there. Yeah. And all we had to do was dig holes, fill them with cement, and then we had to dig another big hole, and we had to put a tank in there, and then fill the hole back in. It was like Cool Hand Luke, if you ever watched that movie. It was just digging holes and filling them back in. So it was a pointless job. It was terrible, right? Like menial labor. We're just doing it for a few extra bucks to pay for Christmas presents. And so me and my friend are just like, we would just, like play games to pass the time, shoot the shit and stuff. And then one time he goes into the washroom, right? And when he went into the washroom, they had a Windex bottle. It was like a lemon scented Windex, you know?
Yeah.
And it was about a quarter full. And he was washing the mirror, And when the guy comes out of the bathroom, he's grinning ear to ear, just giggling to himself. He had the thing was filled right to the top, that Windex bottle, when he left, because he pissed in it
nice.
and that made it all worthwhile for him. And at that same greenhouse, there's this guy. He was a real animal lover, right? And then another guy that was working there, he finds this rabbit, and the rabbit's actually was dead. He was a passed away rabbit,
Yeah.
But this guy comes in with the rabbit in his arm, and he's like pretending that he's petting it, And he goes, hey, to the animal lover guy. He's like, hey, look at this. Look what I found, this bunny. And when the guy's like, oh, look, and he's coming closer, and then the guy pretends it bit him, and then he just throws it onto the ground, the dead rabbit.
Yeah.
And the animal lover guy was going to kill him. Like, he comes flying out of it. And the guy just has to defend himself like this. He goes, it was already dead. It was already dead. I'm like, it's still sick, man.
Oh, yeah. Just a PETA warrior coming at him.
It's funny, man. The yahoos you get to work with and the stuff
oh yeah,
that's some of the most fun parts about working shit jobs. Yeah. I've worked on even now as a grown up, I'll still I build houses with my brother. I build decks. I'll do, if someone needs me to work a day in tobacco harvest. Even now, I would gladly do it for them because it's fun.
Always up for a new experience. That's for sure.
What have you not done yet? That you would
there's lots of stuff I haven't done.
But do you have anything on the top of the list of a job that you're so curious about that you would really like to give it a shot?
I've never worked on a proper farm, or any farm really.
Oh, really?
That's something I kind of wanted to do when I was in Australia. Just as a farmhand, work for stay, right?
Yeah.
They feed you, you get a bed. But we looked at a few, but we just we sent out a few messages. We never really ended up getting at one. We got to stay with a few people who were had their own sustaining garden and just had all their own electricity, with solar panels and all their own water, and grew most of their own food, which is pretty cool. But I've never worked on a farm. I don't mean a crazy big cattle farm or anything like that. A multifunctional farm. You got tons of produce, maybe a bunch of different animals.
Yeah. I've worked on a lot of different kinds of farms. I worked on my very first off tobacco farm job was a strawberry picking.
Yeah.
I was 6 years old. My parents dropped me off at the strawberry patch, and then you get this card. It's a credit card, but it's just a piece of paper, and it's got a hole punch. They could come up with a hole punch, and if you would hand in a flat of strawberries, a flat, then they give you 8. They'd punch out an 8. But then near the end, because you might have leftovers, there'd be 4s and 2s and stuff like that. So if you had, but most of them are 8s. So they just punch out the flats, right? My 8s would never be punched out. It would always be the 2s and the 4s. And then they'd be like, come on, Pete, you got to get 1 8 or whatever. Because I would spend all day eating strawberries and throwing them at my sister. I was 6.
Yeah.
There's no way I was going to work. My parents were dropping me off basically to be babysat in someone's strawberry field, That's what it was.
The old strawberry patch babysitter, right?
Yeah, I've picked strawberries. I've picked cherries, blueberries. I've done ginseng. I've worked in I've done cash crop corn, beans, and wheat. And then when I was in banking, because I did mostly agricultural accounts, I didn't work in the business themselves. I haven't done any livestock. I don't know anything about livestock, just horticulture.
Yeah.
But when I was working at the bank in agriculture, there was a bunch of dairy goats, farmers, and no one really cared about the dairy goat business. So then I just took it upon myself to learn about the dairy goat business so I could help those guys. And turns out I became the dairy goat expert for a while. I knew a lot about dairy goats. So
it's something you never know where you're going to need that information again, right?
Yeah. If you ever have a question about dairy goats, I know surprisingly more than you think. Yeah. That's just useless information that I've got locked in forever now,
But I want to grow my own. I want to learn how to grow all that food, but also I guess culinary. I've been really interested in Netflix, all those damn cooking shows. It just got me hooked, right? And my girlfriend, she's big on restaurants, and she really researches everywhere we go. So we always end up somewhere awesome, and I'm just starting to pay a lot more attention.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we were in Australia, it was the first time I ever had to work at a restaurant. in the kitchen, and so I'm like,
Did you like it?
yeah, I liked it. It was crazy. It was super busy at some points, but like I learned a lot.
Do you always have to have a chief in the kitchen?
Yeah, there's the head chef, and then there's I don't know the proper terms.
But there's like a hierarchy, right?
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause I started on dishes, made my way to like on the line, and then like afternoon shifts that were slow, I would just be in there by myself. I'd cook everything.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Like even though most of it was pretty easy food, like kind of nicer pub food.
Yeah.
Still, I'm like I could do this. I really got into cooking, but
Yeah,
that's,
I love it.
That's something I see that down the line maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Well, even down at the other end of this hallway, maybe.
Yeah, the kitchen down there.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll just start here.
Yeah, that's right.
I do already make my own hot sauce. Yeah.
That's right. I used to make salsa. That can kind of be matched up with your hot sauce ventures.
Yeah.
And I also, as far as the kitchen goes, the only thing I've done in food service is one time I worked for the Wayne Gretzky celebrity baseball game.
Yeah.
It wasn't for the game. I worked at the reception afterwards. So there was like a big dinner, and they had like the head stage of like all the different celebrities. Shannon Doherty was there, and Alan Thicke, and
That's
Kurt
pretty awesome.
Browning, yeah, Gordie Howe. So a bunch of different people were there. And then I remember my job was to be a busboy, so I just had to clean up the tables and shit like that. My friend got me the job. So we afterwards backstage, we could eat the leftovers, right?
Yeah.
And then they didn't ask us to leave. So then we just stayed and drank and danced with all the people that were there. It was great. I got wasted. I was 17 years old. I got to hang out with Wayne Gretzky's wife.
Wow.
She came back.
She's a babe too, isn't she?
Oh, and she's a sweet lady too.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
was actually real nice. And I didn't even know it the one time, but I was like really sweating buckets. So there was this stand-up fan, and I was, just clearing tables and stuff. And then I was like, I needed to cool off. So there's a guy kind of like airing himself out by the fan,
Yeah.
but he had been there for quite a while. So I kind of like walked beside him and started making him uncomfortable. So he'd move over so I could get a go at it too.
Yeah, yeah.
And then turned out it was Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
He was nice about it too because he noticed I was working, so he's like, "Oh, you need it more than I do," and then
Yeah.
it's like it was like that kind of a thing. So real nice, like.
That's awesome.
And we got my friend who got me the job. She ended up getting to sling drinks in the backstage where all the celebrities were hanging out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. I saw I saw one of the celebrities who I thought was gay.
Who?
I'll tell you. I thought it was Kurt Browning,
Who's Kurt Browning?
the figure skater.
Oh, okay.
Bald guy. He does like commercials now.
I don't know figure skating that well.
Yeah.
What commercials does he do?
I don't know, something about figure skating.
Okay. I'm missing
Anyways,
those commercials.
He's a figure skater, and so I think that's why I probably assumed maybe that he had liked the fellas, but he was with this very attractive woman.
I imagine you could score some ladies figure skating. It's
Oh,
an
yeah.
impressive sport.
Oh yeah, women love it.
Yeah.
They love that sport, especially in the States.
Yeah.
They're really big on figure skating. They love it.
I've
They love it
never-
more than hockey.
Yeah, it's impressive. I've never understood it, but go for it.
Yeah, I don't like. This is what I don't understand: figure dancing, and cheerleading. I don't understand any of them. I don't understand. I understand like dancing if you're like drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, dancing should only be when you're drunk. It
Yeah.
should not be your profession.
Yeah, I don't think.
Save it for the drunk floor, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's entertainment, is watching a drunk guy dance, not whatever Swan
Yeah.
Lake is.
Well, I've met a lot of celebrities at different levels because I used to work in TV commercials and I used to work on some TV shows at the time in Toronto. So I had some fun experiences with celebrities. I think the biggest one is what's his name? He's English. I should have wrote his name down before I did this.
What's he in?
He's in Batman. He's the chief.
Gary Oldman?
Gary Oldman.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's in Toronto shooting a movie.
I'm
But
good at that game, by the way.
What? Name the celebrity?
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna help me then, because I'm terrible.
Oh, yeah, I'm
But
really good at it.
I don't know. I always mix him up with someone else. But it was definitely Gary Oldman, and we're working on a cell phone commercial for Britain because I guess he's a spokesman for it, and they had to shoot it in Toronto because he's in Toronto shooting a movie.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just like, I don't know that much about it, but like like, take this wardrobe over to the hotel. He needs to try it on. Yeah, okay. And then, like, I roll this rack through this, like, fancy hotel and, like, up to the floor. I'm just, like, trying to find the number, knock on the door. They just kind of rush me in with the rack, and I get it right there, and I'm standing there. And I just look. I don't even, like, realize it, but Gary Oldman's just, like, unchanging right next to me, just trying things on. I'm like, it took me a while to just kind of clue in. I'm like, oh, I don't need to be here right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that all you need? And I just back away. But then later on, I saw him, like, at the studio we were working at. It's just like there are some cheesy jazz bands playing, and he's pretending he's really into it. It's for a cell phone commercial. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at one point, like, I'm in the craft area, and I'm just eating some soup. And then he just comes in by himself, and he just gets some soup, too. Like, this is between his takes, I guess.
Yeah.
So we're both standing there just eating soup, just kind of nodding. I'm just like, it's good soup, eh? It's like, it's not bad. I got to get the recipe. Like, I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Like, whenever I meet celebrities, I don't want to talk about them or movies.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how to interact.
I'm exactly the same way. I never want to fanboy about anybody ever.
Yeah.
Like, I would never. That would be the worst. You know, if I catch myself doing something like that.
And he could tell, like, as soon as I started talking about how good the soup is, he could tell he's just like, yeah. He just went with it. He's like, all right. We're both uncomfortable.
When we went on our honeymoon, my wife and I, we were at the airport in Toronto, and we're getting ready to catch our flight, and there was other people waiting to get on the same flight, and it turns out the one lady was Chantal Kraviatsik. You know her?
Oh, yeah.
And her husband, Rain Maida, or whatever, from Our Lady Peace.
Yeah.
And so they're on the same flight as us. So we're in the airport. Now, my wife has all three of Chantal Kraviatsik's albums that she had at the time.
Yeah.
She had them in her collection. She would listen to them. She was a big fan. She's seen her perform before, paid tickets to watch her perform. She's in the airport. It's like, 5 a.m. People don't look their best,
Yeah.
Like, they're more in their comfies and stuff. And so Jane strikes up a conversation with this lady, and they're talking for a while. The rock star boyfriend is avoiding me, as I'm avoiding. And I clue in right away. I recognize both of these people. Like, I clue in right away, and I'm just trying to be, like, not ruin it. I'm like, how is Jane so together? Because I've seen her, like, she had no idea who she's talking to at all. She's just having a regular conversation with her. And then afterwards, I told her, like, as we were leaving, like, do you know what that was? And then she said no. And then I told her, and then she made us go back and get a picture. And I just like, we ruined it.
Yeah. Another guy we got to work with was Jamie Oliver.
Oh, yeah.
The chef.
Yeah. I like Naked Chef.
He endorses Sobeys, right?
Yeah,
so he was doing a Sobeys commercial, and I got a laugh out of him because I was in the main production trailer talking to my boss, and then he comes in to talk to the producer. He just jumps in, and he's like saying hello to everyone. He sees me. He's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, are you running craft services today? Like, and I got a laugh out of him.
Yeah. That's good.
It was fun.
Yeah. You ate soup with Gary Oldman, eh?
Yeah.
Eating soup with Gary Oldman's a good name for this episode.
Eating soup with Gary Oldman, yeah. Sure. This might have to be a two-parter, man. I've only gotten halfway through this list.
Really?
Oh yeah, it just keeps going, man.
Go like fire some out, like just go like random, like go.
You pick.
Can
one.
I do?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see here. We did Driving Range Sobeys, Temp Jobs, Battlefield. Battlefield. What's Battlefield?
That's the construction company I work for.
Okay, yeah.
Painted propane tanks.
Commercials. Johnny Walker.
Johnny Walker. I worked for the LCBO for a Johnny Walker campaign, and I had to audition like I was an actor, which I wasn't an actor, but it was a Craigslist job.
Oh yeah.
It was actually the same Craigslist job that got me the reality show, The Right Hand,
right?
Which is a whole other. There are episodes of this. We probably don't have to get into that,
but it's still quite. That's the most.
But that's the same week that I found this job on
Johnny Walker,
Craigslist.
Johnny Walker and The Right Hand in the same week.
Yeah.
And you auditioned and got the role.
Yeah, I had to go in with a Scottish accent and basically read this script. It was like a Johnny Walker commercial. And have this guy doing this long script. I'm just like, Johnny Walker. I did it perfectly in the audition and like got the part. So I had to go to the LCBOs in this crazy suit that they rented for me, like dressed to the just like Johnny Walker, like top hat. Had a cane with a flask. You can unscrew a flask in it, but they wouldn't let me put booze in it. And I just wandered around the LCBO harassing people. And this is around like the outskirts of GTA. There's like some parts where like there's like a lot of Middle Eastern people, and like they just had no idea what I was doing or what my point was.
Yeah.
Because we had like a booth in the corner, but they wanted me to just go out there and talk to people.
Yeah.
So I just come up to strangers like, "Excuse me, sir, would you like to try some Johnny Walker?" Like, "Come with me." He's like, "Oh, no, sir, no, thank you." He's like, "I'm driving." I'm like, "Oh, couldn't get a mouse drunk. Just a tea bit. Let's go." And just like take him to the table, and people just thought I was nuts. But like I kept losing the accent. I just be like, "Excuse me, sir, can you come help me with Johnny Walker?" Like I'd sound Australian out of nowhere.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
It was bouncing everywhere. But it was two 19-year-old girls working the booth, and then just me. So we were just sneaking shots all day. We didn't care.
Yeah.
We just go to the back room after every time and just finish off the sample bottle we had out there. And I like the one time I was on my way back, always put the suit away because it's very expensive. But I got so shit-faced, I just like hopped on the bus dressed as Johnny Walker, took that, had to get on the subway back to my place. That was great. I got a lot of good looks.
Oh, and before we could talk about the right hand, the whale watching.
Whale watching, yeah.
Whale watching. Have you done that more than once?
2 years.
Oh, 2 different years?
Yeah. Two different companies, 2 different years, same town. It's Pleasant Bay in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot of my family's from there. So I got a job as my dad's cousin. He owns a very popular business down there for whale watching. So I got a job as a guide on his boat. I knew nothing about whales, so they threw me a few books.
Yeah.
Learned a bit about whales. I've never been good at speaking in front of crowds or done anything like that before. So that was
before stand up then?
Yeah, like before I ever did stand up. This is probably my introduction to stand up.
Oh yeah.
At least doing it. I've always loved stand up, but this is my first chance to
Yeah.
do something similar.
Yeah.
Like I had to make stupid whale jokes all the time. It's like these are known as the pothead whales not because they swim around all day smoking seaweed. It's just like stupid shit like that.
Oh, I love that crap, man. That's why I wanted to apply to film school, and then my dad talked me out of it, and I didn't know what to do. So then I just was like, the only other thing I could think of that I wanted to do was run the Jungle Boat at Disney World because you got to tell shitty jokes and then like basically be sarcastic about the whole experience. It was the best.
I loved it. I just talked to people all day, and some days I got pretty high because there's another guy in the marina there. Every time I'd in between tours, he'd wave me over and just smoke a little joint in the bushes there, and I just go back to work for another tour.
You do tours. You've done tours for other tourists, like Quebec City and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a different tour company out of Toronto. They go from Toronto to the East Coast back to Toronto.
And how do you qualify for a job like that?
I don't know.
You just apply. And
I had the whale watching experience.
Oh.
I have living on the East Coast. I lived there for 2 summers, and I've just always traveled out there my whole life.
Yeah.
So I knew a lot of the route and interesting places. We actually stopped in Pleasant Bay on that tour, which is great.
Yeah.
I got them to extend it because like they just thought there's whale watching, but there's all this other crazy stuff just in the town, like hiking, and there's like a Buddhist monastery, and so.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I extended it so we could stay there longer. But doing that was incredible. I got to see a lot of the country. And
what was the most common whales? Were they the pothead whales, or did you?
Yeah, pilot whales. They're like small black ones, are related to like killer whales kind of.
Oh yeah.
And they'd always come there in the summer to feed on mackerel and squid. They travel up from like the Caribbean all the way up there. And some summers that's crazy. Like there's everywhere you look, you can see pods of them. And other summers, like you spend the whole day looking for them.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's different. It all depends on how the mackerel run and like how their food source is moving.
Yeah.
It depends on where they go, and that's changing a lot too.
Yeah, I guess
crazy
so.
because we had researchers on the boat with us, like 2 students, so they taught me quite a lot about whales and like their behavior and how things are changing out there. And
Right.
but yeah, I dealt with a lot of people puking on those boats.
That's the thing when you're doing a tour, you get to see things like on a repetitive basis.
Yeah, 3 times a day, every day, as long as the weather was good.
And to each one of those people who are doing it, it's kind of like a once in a lifetime thing for them.
Yeah.
And they don't have a clue what's going to happen. You know exactly what's going to happen.
Not always. Like I loved it because you never really knew what you were going to come across sometimes. Like,
but as far as you know, you've been on enough of them that you knew if the conditions were just a certain way.
Yeah.
That and the person's eating an egg salad sandwich.
Oh, that kind of, yeah.
and washing it down with a gallon of milk, there's a good chance this guy's gonna need a bag and a few.
I literally saw that. It was an Asian family before they're passing around a jug of milk and eating white bread before they got on the boat. I'm like, why? And I look at the captain. I'm like, better get your rain gear out. This is gonna be a wild one, and it was.
Yeah.
Most of them puked, and I spotted a mile away every time. And I don't know why people deny it.
Yeah.
You're just gonna make a mess of yourself and the boat. You just get this look on their face, and I can see him from across the boat, and I just point at him. I'm like, "You want a bag, buddy?" He's like, "I'm fine." And I'm like, "I'm gonna give you a bag,
Yeah.
because it's gonna happen in less than a minute."
Yeah, it's always on a boat, and in one of those, like if you're like going out with some jet fighter guy, like in the Air Force.
Oh yeah,
those guys will make you puke too.
Oh, I did that.
You did it
for the right hand, actually. For the right hand,
really?
That was a stunt they wanted me to do in the season 2. They wanted me to do something crazy in Vegas, so they found these crazy stunt pilots. Because I told them I was I was terrified of flying, so they thought it would be funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they took these crazy little planes out, these former jet fighters, and they just did every move they can think of.
Did you puke?
I puked twice.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do when you're like going through G-forces and like you have to tell them for a second. Just for like, hold on, like, I can't puke upside down. Like,
yeah.
And
it's like pushing it back into your face.
But
right?
like I successfully puked in a bag, tied it off, put it in one of my big pockets they gave me, one of the crazy suits, and like I almost passed out. And I'm doing this thinking because one of the porn stars, Jackie Daniels, is in the other, and I'm thinking she's doing all of this.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, yeah, keep doing more moves. Finding out that they did one barrel roll and then they turned back.
Yeah, but they don't tell you that because they want to see how.
Me.
Yeah, you were like they treated you like Ricky Gervais treats that
Carl Pilkington. Absolutely,
yeah.
They did. They just they knew the right situations to throw me in to be entertaining.
But that's it. That's gotta be fun for you too, then, right?
Yeah, it was fun
because you don't know what. But like, did you have a limit? Did you have something you could say no to?
Yeah, mostly was fucking the porn stars. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They always wanted it to naturally occur, but I'm just like, yeah, I know that's your goal, but like, that's where I stand. That's where I stop.
Yeah. But that would have been ideal for them, eh?
Yeah. Even the girls picked up. We got along so well, like they didn't, they didn't want to. They
didn't have that energy, right?
Yeah, we all got along. We're all buddies. It was great.
Right. You work together.
Absolutely, we're coworkers.
That is something that it seems like from a macho dude perspective that would be a difficult thing to accomplish when there's all this sex going on so close to you, right?
Yeah, it was weird. Like, because I got the job as the production assistant because I was out of film school, so I brought film school techniques with me. Like, I made sure lighting was well and like the framing's good on the camera and everything. And I didn't realize framing and camera work is totally different on a porn set than what I'd imagined. Like, they want you to get right in there.
Oh, right.
So I'm like having to watch a few of these guys, what they did before they let me go on camera.
But you're saying, because normally you wouldn't want that sort of super close.
Yeah, because and I would find myself in ridiculous situations. Like, I'm standing on top of like 4 girls and 2 guys, just like look like they're playing Twister, and I'm standing in between them with a camera. And
you're really concentrating on the shot at that point.
I'm concentrating on the shot, but then like I'll just like pull back in my mind and just look at the crazy scene I'm in right now. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
How did you get into this?
Now,
I just laugh at it though.
Yeah, that's just such a fun experience. How old were you then?
About 22, 23.
Jeez, man, what a move!
Yeah,
you must think you have a really charmed life though. At this point in time, they're like.
That was because that's not something I was ever after.
Yeah.
Like I said, that was from Craigslist. I found it. They're looking for someone to work as a production assistant for this porn star, and they wanted to make it a show. And like I knew I wanted to do something with comedy. I haven't started stand up yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and my friends were making sketches and stuff. Me and Tyler Shaftsma.
Yeah.
Living in Toronto. He's also in the show. So when you get him on there, on here, you'll have to get him to tell some stories.
Yeah. And your other friend too was on the show, right?
Yeah, my friend Jeff was on. Yeah.
And did Jeff go to L.A. as well?
No. Only Tyler went to L.A.
Oh yeah.
That was a time.
So were there 2 seasons of that?
2 seasons, but I was only in 2 episodes in the second, and they replaced me with some guy who's all gung ho to do everything. The dynamic didn't work anymore.
And even now, you say you still get recognized for that role?
No,
sometimes?
not really. Not
But back
very
in the
rarely.
day.
When it was starting to come out, it was happening in like weird places, like restaurants. It would happen. Airports
Yeah.
was the weirdest one. Airport employees. It wasn't people at the airport.
Yeah.
It was always like some like
The TSA
baggage guy coming up and be like, "Yo, right hand man."
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool, right on. But one time I was working on it was some production in Toronto, but I'm just transport. I'm driving these camera guys around, and I have to take them to the Toronto airport, and I helping them with their bags and stuff. They don't know about this show. I've done this show. It's on TV now, but I'm still doing normal productions in Toronto. And next thing you know, this old Indian security guard comes up. He's like, "You're Brandon. You're the right hand. You're the right hand." I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, he's taking pictures with me. And this crew's just standing there looking at him like, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to like quickly explain it to them before I left. And then I did just like, what the fuck?
That is the thing. I think that's the nature of how things are now. I think like back in the olden days, there was 4 channels and there was like 20 people that were famous.
Yeah.
And everybody knew those 20 people.
This
or
wasn't like a hit. It was like a cult hit. Because it's like, soft porn that comes on the movie network.
Yeah.
This is like one of those kind of porny reality shows that came on before that.
It wasn't even softcore though. It was hardcore porn at that time.
Oh, was there? Okay.
Yeah, because I remember a story where my dad's at home watching the movie network in Canada, and at midnight it would switch to hardcore pornography.
Oh wow!
And he's babysitting my young nieces at the time. They're like babies, right? And then my sister and her husband come home. They go to pick up their kids who are sleeping on the living room floor, and there's hardcore pornography on the television, right? And then my dad wakes up going, "I was watching the Green Mile. I was watching the Green Mile."
It's so funny. Yeah, you have to be careful of that movie network. Yeah. I'd catch my mom. Yeah, she'd be falling asleep. I'd walk out there. The family business is on.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of fake tits and just on screen. I'm like, "Hey, Mom. What are you watching?"
Yeah. We just fell asleep, I promise.
No, I never got, recognized in the street that much. The airport, like I said.
Yeah, you guys, you were saying you didn't mean to do it. Like it wasn't something you ever had an ambition to do.
No, I just saw the ad and I just went, and I never thought I'd get it.
And even in your job that you have now, like you have a career in Silver Drop Media.
Yeah.
And this has been what you've went to your schooling for.
I went to film school.
Yeah.
I've just been a freelancer mostly, me and Tyler. So we just both, why not team up and go pro? Right?
Yeah. And you guys have been doing it now for long enough that you've really got, quite a bit of expertise that you've built over the years, So that being said, that job, because it's self-controlled, because it's you and Tyler that are able to, make the decisions there.
Yeah.
You're still allowed to be open to other alternatives as they come up.
Yeah.
So like a thing that you don't really want to do or have any ambition to do, but if it just popped up as an opportunity, you could still be able to move on that opportunity, right?
That's right.
Is that an important factor for you?
I like to always stay open to something. Like I am, feel like I need to slow down. I've been traveling. Like I went to Australia, and I've just moved around a lot in the last 10 years, doing a lot of different things, and I finally got to slow down. But but find good things where I am.
Yeah,
you are right. Like I want to stay open to anything that'll come along, because that's how hobbies work, right? Like I trust my gut, I guess. But whenever weird things, just like all these great random crazy jobs just fell into my life in some weird way, and that never thought I'd get it, Yeah. Like when I got my job traveling around Canada, I was struggling in Toronto, thinking I'm like, I need to find a job because I want money so I can road trip around the East Coast this summer, and that's literally the job I got.
Yeah.
It just popped up one day. Tyler sent it to me.
That's crazy. I honestly, not to sound too hippie about this stuff, but it really is like when I was in my rut of doing banking for 15 years, and I was just not like I was miserable because I knew that I didn't want to be doing one thing forever.
Yeah.
The thought of me being there for 30 years or 35 years and getting a gold watch at the end I said if you're at my retirement party and they're presenting me with that watch, I'm going to put a bullet in my head after I get the watch, like immediately.
Yeah.
Because I've failed in life. If I make it through,
you can buy your own watch.
yeah, I do not want to get a goddamn watch. I don't want to be rewarded for my career. I don't want a retirement party like that. I want to know that I got out of here before on my own terms when I wanted to.
Yeah.
I use them rather than them using me. And I'm glad that I got out, because if you have that attitude, you are a shitty employee. You're like a polluted employee. There are people that actually take comfort and have like they like the routine. They like taking comfort in the fact they've become experts at something and they know how to do it really well.
They found comfort. It's like everything. They found stability, and like some people just they need that like chaos. I don't know. That's just how they were brought up, or just that's how they see the world works.
But you're not like that.
No, like I want my own form of stability, but like I can't settle down. I'm always staying curious. I got to go out.
And the thought of chaos is exciting to you, right?
Absolutely. Like
for me as well.
I always try and keep a good balance between the two. Like that's what it's about, right?
But chaos is like adventure,
Yeah.
That's the thing. You know that if you mess things up somehow, or you do something that's you have no reason to do, or that you just feel like it feels good, then that is gonna be an adventure. You know, where you go get a job, you know what your benefits are, you know what your to me, that's like it's like responsible.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely like
sure, there's a lot more security there, but I don't really think about that stuff that much.
Yeah, but it just deadens you it deadens me on the inside. It makes me feel like I'm not taking advantage of so many different the world's full of a million things to do. Why would you just do one thing? Yeah. Like I can't imagine.
See, that's where that theory where universal income, if all our jobs are taken by automated machines and just, there's going to be less people in the workforce, then they need to get some kind of income. So the universal income, and then people will have time to go out and do whatever they want to do, and they'll have money for it. They can still have, this little side job, but that takes all the pressure off, all the bills and stuff. And
it's interesting.
It's a good theory, but everyone's worried. Everyone's different, and everyone's gonna treat that money different. But it'll stimulate the economy. That's for sure. Yeah,
well, you have to do something for the people you're displacing. If you can't just pretend that problem's not going to exist.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially when all this automation gets into transportation, and they make that that technology, they perfect it, and there's no trucks running people over.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a lot of jobs gone.
Yeah, I know. We're all headed that way, and that's the thing when I was telling my kids about choosing careers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The education system still now is based on they're still thinking about the past, not about the future.
Yeah.
And when they're finding the brightest kids in the school, and they're doing what they've always done with them. They put them in the math and science, and they try to say this is where you should be in math and science because you're the smartest people. Then we want our smartest people in math and science. I'm like, the machines are doing math and science.
Yeah.
Past what a human being can do. We've made the machines learn faster than they learn. We're way past where we could ever get with our limitations. So either we join the machines or we use them. But either way, the machine is going to be doing that thinking, not me. And we should be going into more human pursuits with our best and brightest.
Absolutely.
Things that are going to become more unique and
more artistic endeavors.
Exactly. More.
How to properly take care of people. You can focus on that more.
Exactly. More of nurturing and more of that entertainment, community, all that stuff.
So that's the positive spin to that too. That's the transition period of all these jobs disappearing and the government doing something about it.
Yeah,
is going to be a slow transition before things are probably even close to rosy like that.
Yeah,
it's going to be a lot of people unemployed.
Yeah,
and just no plan put in place. I could be wrong. Bernie Sanders might get in, or fucking Andrew Yang, and or whatever big government might actually take control of the people.
And I don't know. For me, I just think that even if we leave it to take the opposite side, to go free market here and just say I'll take the ultra conservative side and say free market. Let's just let the market forces fall where they may, and let human nature take over.
Yeah.
And either way, I see with the future what's going to happen with the at least the North American economy. If I think the Western economy for real, if not the global one, is there's going to be a crash that's going to have a major reset amongst everyone. It's the great equalizer of the generations.
Yeah, we're supposed to have that. That's been done through history for like hundreds of years. It's just clearing the debt, starting again.
It is it's very overdue. It's like the big one in San Francisco, like that earthquake. It's gonna happen. We know it's gonna happen. It's overdue, And so when that happens, like all the things that we take for granted because it's been going well for so long, it's gonna seem like a shock that these things don't exist anymore. They don't happen the way they are. But they've only been around for like 100 years. It's about time that we were to throw them out. They don't work anymore. They only work for like a few people. Like I think that,
and we're in that time now where I think that's all going to be realized and kind of unfold.
So you look at the rate of change due to our technological advancements over the last 20 years, and you look how exponentially faster
that's going to work faster than any. It's going to work faster than any of the governments in the world. The way that these industries are going to just eat up this technology as it comes to make automation quicker, less employees, more money kind of thing. And
they did it in farming already. Like it's done.
It's, like this universal income is supposed to be like it equalizes this whole thing. Even if that's put in place, governments don't move that quick. That's going to be a process of like, not giving everyone money right away. It's going to be a bunch of tests, but it's already going to be too late because there's already all this automation just taking jobs here and there, and like people are going to revolt for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Brandon. That's like because the rate of change won't move fast enough because these systems, the bureaucracies that we built, are inefficient. And they don't service ideals anymore. They just service self-preservation of these people.
Yeah, my mom's mad at like at like self-checkouts at Walmart. I'm like, you just wait, Mom. Like you wait 10 years.
Yeah, it's pretty. It is a pretty big deal, and that's why I tell my kids or anybody who's asked me for job advice, which for some reason I get asked a lot, and I've been terrible at work.
Yeah,
and people ask me about what I think. I don't know why, but I do tell them. It's like be flexible.
Yeah.
Invest in yourself. There's a lot of ways to make a living. I would personally think you can get a job where you get paid $100,000, or you can get 10 jobs where you make $10,000 each.
Yeah.
And then you still got the same amount of money, right?
Yeah.
It depends how you want to do it. I always like doing the 10 jobs because life's more interesting when you got variety,
And like, everyone's different. Like my background, like. My dad had lots of different endeavors, but like he worked in the same career pretty much his whole life, lived in the same area his whole life. And like a lot of people in my family are like that, and they kind of had similar jobs, kind of stayed in the same area, family, all that. But like, I don't know. I don't see life that way for me.
No,
I'm not a family guy. I don't think, I'm never going to have kids. I don't want kids at all.
But that means
that just leaves everything so much more open. And I think I've realized that a while ago. When one of these random jobs I got just popped up, because I always, especially whale watching. You have lots of time to reflect when you're stoned on a whale watching boat, just heading out to the ocean, just staring out, just like looking for whales, and just like so much to think about.
That's what I think is like I just think that oh my goodness, Pete, you're doing so good to the very end. Now I'm getting a little bit of a forgetful. But my point was, you're talking about flexibility. No, we're talking about flexibility, and you're saying, with kids, yeah. I know. I was talking to my buddy, and he said he had his first kid, and he was a really, really like, aggressive businessman, like a really good farmer and aggressive businessman, and he was making like real strides forward in this like operation that he started from nothing,
Yeah.
And then he had his first kid, and he was like, I suck now. Like he says, like, I can't, now I'm thinking of this child all the time. I really could, not that I could care less about my business, but like I thought my business and these goals I set for myself were such the number one priority. And now when you have a kid, I mean, it's not even close, you got to keep this thing alive. That's a way bigger responsibility.
And some people, that's what they want. They want kids. That's what they want their life to be, but like, I can't imagine that.
Yeah,
and everyone will be like, "Oh, but you'll love it so unconditionally." I'm like, I know, I don't want that.
yeah. And I'll tell you something. Like I'm a guy that come from a big family. I'm a family man, and I chose to have kids when I was young. My kids are pretty much grown now, right? Like I'm 46. My kids are 16 and 17, so they're almost ready to go to university, and I'm just getting some freedom back because my kids don't.
Yeah,
They
they're not
don't,
around as much.
and they don't need me. I mean, they know, like they knew I was an idiot since they learned how to use Google, right? Like they don't use me as a reference or a guide, you know. I give them the odd bit of advice, but that's about it. You know, they're mostly self-sufficient, and so you kind of get your freedom back. It is a temporary thing, but the one thing you'll never lose is that like obligation of like you care for them, and anything that would ever happen to that other person, you're gonna do everything you can to help them, you know?
Yeah.
And once you have that kind of love for somebody, you are kind of fucked. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
That's never going to let you achieve your goals to the fullest extent that you could put your effort in, you know?
Let me put my love into a cat, all right?
Yeah.
I can do that for a cat. There's lots of cats, and they don't live that long.
It's nice too if you have a partner that you're with that has the same goals.
Yeah, we
as
do.
you,
We do. My girlfriend, we both share the same view. We both just want cats. That's as far as we're gonna go with it.
And you're both adventure, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she came to Australia with me.
Yeah.
She's trying to plan the next trip wherever the hell we're going next. So it's good.
Yeah, that's super cool.
That's why I'm working hard now. Working hard at the jobs.
Yeah, and right now, even when with the stuff that you're doing, because I've been lucky enough to be able to work with you over the last 6 months or so.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of the stuff that we're working on now? We're lucky that we have the ability to kind of like mold it into the direction of the things that we want to do just in our life anyway, you know?
That's right.
And that's why I retired when I did at 39, was because I knew that I would never retire. So that allowed me to retire right away. And then I was like, oh, I'll just never stop working. I'll do something forever.
Just do something else.
Yeah. I can always be a landlord. I could always tell jokes, you know. I can always probably, as long as I can still bend over, I can like put in a floor for you.
Yeah, and that's part of the meaning of life, I think. That's when you have purpose, you know. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are super depressed and anxious right now, and I don't know. Sometimes, from what I learned, I think sometimes it's just a lack of purpose, you know.
Yeah.
But when you're jumping from job to job, you know, some people do that in their shit jobs, but I guess, you know, I don't know how I find myself in some of these opportunities. Some jobs are good.
You ever been
bad.
fired?
No, never been fired.
So you've always been a pretty good employee. Like people have been happy with you. You get letters of reference easily.
Oh yeah.
And but you still have that variation, which I've only been fired.
I've been fired from like commercial film sets, not on the spot, but like.
Yeah, I've been fired twice.
Yeah.
And it used to be my goal when I was in banking to get fired.
Oh,
Seriously, I do that at the my annual reviews. They would say, "What's your 5-year goal?" I'd be like, to be fired, because I get a severance, and then every year I'd say, I know I get like this many more weeks of severance because I've been here another year, so I'm hoping I can get fired soon. And then they would always say, "Why do you got to joke around like that?" I'm like, I've not joked with you once. I've not joked with you once. And then when I left, they were still surprised, you know, which I can't believe. Anyways, good place to work. Not for me, you know. No. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was arrogant or conceited or whatever in my own head, you know. I thought everyone thought the same way I did. You know, I couldn't imagine a person thinking differently because I've been living in my own head the whole time. Yeah. And then I realized that, no, I just was ill-suited to that place. And it actually had physical consequences to me, like my health. Like I was fat, overweight in a bad way. Like I was like almost like skinny fat. You start to lose muscle tone. You're stationary all day, so your back's all fucked. You're like got sore necks all the time. You know, you're just miserable, and you're puffy. And as soon as I quit my job, I lost 20 pounds like instantly. Everything came back to life. I felt like 20 years younger. Yeah. And then it
must feel good.
Oh, it was great, man. It's a bit of a honeymoon phase. If anyone's ever done this, that's listening to the show, or like when you've had a job and you quit it, you go through like, euphoria initially. You know, you've done this dream that you've dreamed about every day, going into the shit job that you hate, you know, and then you finally did it. You quit, you know.
Yeah, and then what's next?
And then when what's next sets in, that's where it gets kind of ugly, especially if you have lofty ambitions, because then you have to be prepared to weather the storm of ups and downs when you have lofty ambitions, because there's no. And then I have very lofty ambitions. I like it. It's more fun to do something hard.
Keeps things interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's been my goal. Like, I just want new experience and just keep things interesting. Shake it up that's why I went to Australia pretty much. I'm just like, it's getting stuck in a rut. I'm like, let's go to the other side of the world for a bit. See what it's like there.
Yeah. And you're a stand-up comedian too.
Yeah.
So
that's something, more lately I've been trying to focus on more, but it's, because I do have my arms in many things right now. It's not my main focus.
Yeah, but even as a stand-up comedian, because I also am a stand-up comedian, I think it's our responsibility as stand-up comedians to not only report on life, like to commentate on life, but also to live life, so we have something to commentate on.
Entertain the people.
Like if you don't spend time living, you're gonna have nothing to write about, you know.
That's right.
And that is part of your responsibility if you're going to observe life, is to live a bit.
That
has
100% helped my stand-up career. Just all these different jobs and traveling and experiences definitely built it. Because I started 6 years ago, and it's been on and off just because of these different jobs I've had. But I've just developed like stories and just, working on things as I go, and like being able to try things out on the road, like when I was doing the Moose tours and taking people out to the East Coast and go to like Halifax and Moncton, and I just get open mic nights and stuff like that. So doing all that definitely helped.
Yeah, I actually can't wait to see what we can pull off in the next few years. As to what we can try to do. I still think if I can get a travel show someday, I think that would be any dream.
We could pull that off.
Yeah, a travel show would be something that I think we could, if we could pull something like that off. That's like the ultimate dream job, to get paid to travel and still do the fun stuff that we do, producing content. That would, to me, would be.
I think we can do that. We can come up with the right idea. Let's do it.
You got any dream jobs you still have to do yet? You said farming, but that's just
and
something.
Like culinary, I said culinary as
yeah.
well. I don't know any. I don't know if there's any dream jobs that like are like unachievable. I guess a bank robber would be a pretty sweet career.
Oh man, I'd love to go on a nice
love bank robbing movies. Like,
okay, let's end the show with this one question, Brandon.
Okay.
Now you have the opportunity once in your life. The law is going to turn a blind eye to all of this. Okay.
Yeah.
But you have an opportunity to either go on a spree, or
what kind of spree?
Or like a robbery. Like we're going to do some bank robbing.
Yep.
You can either go on a spree, or you can be part of a great heist. Multiple different characters with different attributes, and you're just playing your part, cog in the wheel. You're going to get the same amount of money.
So like Ocean's 11 style, right?
You're going Ocean's 11 versus Bonnie and Clyde. Ocean's 11 versus Bonnie and Clyde. You know what I mean? Like you got Woody Harrelson and Juliana. What's that one called?
I don't know.
Rodney Dangerfield's in it. Oliver Stone directed it.
Heat?
No.
That's another heist movie though. Heat.
The one where Mickey and Mallory, they go across the country killing people and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Natural Born Killers.
Yeah,
Natural Born Killers.
I don't know about the killing part.
No, but the bank robbing kind of like that. Like one's a spree. You're gonna go hit maybe you get like a couple $100,000 per bank robbery. At the end of doing like 10 banks, you got a spree. You're going across country.
That sounds way more fun.
Really?
Yeah.
But the other one's big planning, one heist.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot more stress and like. I'm not the brightest guy for a heist. Like, I don't know what my position would be in the heist crew.
You're thinking smash and grab.
Just like smash and grab. You know, you get a road trip out of it. You take your sweetheart with you, ride or die.
Yeah.
Just, that sounds a lot more fun, a lot more romantic.
All right. Well, that's a fair point.
I don't want to kill anyone though, but I'll take their money.
It's okay. Yeah, I think a heist would be, or I think a spree would be more fun. It's like Thelma and Louise.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could definitely do something
So
like
much
that.
work into a heist.
Yeah, it is a lot. And then and you're at the mercy if somebody else fucks up, the whole heist is screwed,
Yeah.
and then you're done. And you have the likelihood that you get all this money with say 12 guys,
Yeah.
you know, and then it turns into Goodfellas, where now you're fucking Samuel Jackson getting shot in the back of the head. When
Yeah,
you're
those guys normally have a plan for their money. I'm just probably having like gym bags full of loose cash in my
Yeah.
trunk, just living off of adrenaline.
Yeah, that would that be your favorite crime to commit? Would be bank robbing?
That would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks about it. You know you do when you're in the bank and you're just standing there waiting. Unless you ever, this is probably before phones a lot more. You're definitely thinking about robbing that bank and how you do it.
Yeah.
Everyone's done it once.
You think about it because of course you think about it. I would try to be a friendly bank robber, like the charming bank robber. Like I would like to, if I wore a mask, it would be a smiley face. Like it would be pleasant.
Yeah.
The experience. But I'd shoot you in the throat if you mess with me.
Yeah, if I was doing a bunch, I'd just try different techniques every time.
Oh, yeah?
I'd go in, start shooting the ceiling and screaming. I'd try that, and then maybe the next one, just go in with a slip of paper across the table.
Mm-hmm.
Just be like, "There's 4 of us here." It's like, don't make a move.
Yeah. The thing about that is you're going to have a hard time getting a nickname from this press because you don't have a signature,
a signature way of robbing the
doing
bank.
it. Yeah. So you're going to be, the good news is you stay under the radar, probably less chance of getting caught.
Babyface Brando, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the old bank robbing names?
Yeah, that's a good one. Is there a real person called
I
that?
think there's like Babyface something. Babyface Nelson, I think his name is.
Oh, yeah.
He was like a bank robber. Kind of how I wanted to do, just like driving bank to bank
Yeah.
in like the 1800s.
That's the best if you can just go break. And now where would the most money be? If you had to go somewhere with the most cash, you go to one of the weed dispensaries.
Yeah, that's right.
That's probably where it would be.
Yeah, they're docile. They're easy to control.
Yeah, you just go in there with some snacks, distract them, and then friggin' take all the cash.
Yeah.
And they don't even notice because they got stacks of it to the roof.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was just want to thank you, Brandon, for coming in and talking about your jobs. Do you have a favorite one that you
this
can
is lots of fun
that stands out?
God, I'd have to say whale watching, just because I don't know. I felt so alive every day out in the ocean,
Yeah.
seeing wildlife, and
You see yourself going back there someday?
yeah,
Like to live?
Yeah, I love it out there. Cheap real estate, it's worth it.
I'll go anywhere where it's cheap real estate. And where there's no rules. Anyways,
It's a land of wonder.
Cape Breton. I've never been there. I can't wait to go. Anyways, if you'd like to, please follow Brandon. He's actually got a podcast coming out. It's called
We're Doomed.
We're Doomed with Tyler Shazma, and the two of them talk about different ways that we are going to see the end of the world.
It's lots of fun.
It's lots of fun. And Brandon, you're like a plethora of knowledge. By all accounts, I haven't heard the episodes yet, but Tyler has given reports that you cannot believe the amount of knowledge that comes out of your mouth in some of these subject matters.
Yeah, it's nuts. That's been a weird, dark hobby I've had. Like, I used to really worry about like these end of the world scenarios and how realistic they were. They would bother me.
Yeah.
But I've come to peace with it, and I'm just fascinated. It's like, bring it on. Let's see what happens.
I want something to happen,
Yeah.
I've seen
Shake it up.
I've seen so many of these speculations. I want to see some chupacabras
We
finally.
could use a good reset.
Yeah,
on this
yeah.
planet.
Yeah.
We've done enough. Let's start over. Let's try something else.
Yeah, I'm all for it too. I love the chaos. Bring it on. Anyways, follow Brandon on social medias. You can you're Reginald MacIntosh
Yeah.
on Instagram, and you can also find Brandon on Facebook. You can book him to do stand-up comedy. And if you have anything to say about the show, if you'd like to talk about your job experiences, what you think a good job is, what you think makes a good boss, anything that you've done, if you'd like to comment on the show, give us some feedback at livefromthedutchhall@gmail.com. And for those of you who are listening to this, we're getting really excited to work on our new show that's going to be replacing Live from the Dutch Hall. So just stay tuned, and we will give you updates. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We're Dutch Hall or Live from the Dutch Hall. And until next time, we'll see you later. I'm Pete Van Dyk. Bye.